One way to tell if you're mestizo, Spanish blood and native blood.
Superior blood. As if European DNA is superior in any fucking way, man. And when you yourself probably are less than fucking 30% of it, just judging based off of your profile. I've seen plenty of people stitch you at this point and respond to your videos. And I really implore you to take the time to properly educate yourself on the history, because you just make sweeping statements such as the indigenous peoples were just, only advanced to use bows and arrows, and that's all they were, that they didn't accomplish anything in thousands of years, and that the Europeans were just like these fucking saints and so technologically advanced, which is just ridiculous. But let's tackle this. You first wanted to act like the Spaniards were these noble heroes that came and saved natives, and that, natives were just slaughtering each other, committing human sacrifices, and were morally bankrupt. But the Spanish and Europeans themselves were morally bankrupt people that were just as bad, that just slaughtered tens of thousands of people for no reason. As you can see in this book, Secret Jews by Juan Marcos Bejarano Gutierrez, they slaughtered tens of thousands of Jews, forcibly converted many of them, basically took away their children to forcibly convert them, if possible, and they also expelled them as well. So they did this only 100 or so years prior to the first invasion of the Americas. Not to mention the other Europeans fighting, religious wars all the time, killing each other because they didn't follow the same faith, burning women because they thought that they were witches, and they were completely ridiculous to even think. Regarding your claim that indigenous people didn't accomplish anything for thousands of years, and that they only just had bows and arrows, and were these people that were primitive, is completely far from reality, and it just goes to show how ignorant you really are. I implore you to read Fifth Son by Camilla Townsend, because the infrastructure that you found in central Mexico at the time definitely beat out any of the largest European cities at the time. The Spaniards completely marveled at the infrastructure, at how advanced the indigenous people were, and that was down there with the Mexica or the Aztecs. One of them even remarked how after the whole conquest period, how they had destroyed the city to that degree that he felt extremely regretful that he was moved to tears, and he wrote a letter about that. Regarding your claim that most Mexican culture is derived from Spanish or European culture, that is completely false. If you read the book Mexico Profundo by Guillermo Bonfil Batalla, he was a leading Mexican anthropologist in the late 1980s. He purports how the vast majority of the culture comes from the indigenous roots, and that Mexico is a de-Indianized nation. You oversimplify the conflict between the Spanish and the indigenous people to just the showdown with the Mexica, in central Mexico, where the whole war period ended after a few years, and you imply that the indigenous people were inferior because they lost after a few years, without really examining all the factors. But even so, without